KMBC 9 News at Noon starts now.
Still on track for a significant heat wave, but some clouds, even a couple of showers in the forecast. How that could impact high temperatures in your first alert forecast.
It really doesn't matter who you are, this type of heat can get to you.
Take the heat seriously. That's the warning from firefighters amid the heat wave this week. What the fire department says is their biggest concern. In a new letter this afternoon, Kansas City Royals chairman and CEO John Sherman has a message for fans. We hear you as talks continue in the search for a new stadium. We have the latest on when we can expect an update from the team. 12 o'clock on your Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining us at noon. I'm Jamie Weiss. Chad Crilly's here with your first alert forecast. It's going to be an impact day because the heat is on its way.
That's right. Temperatures are rising. Today is just the start of a prolonged period of very hot weather. There may be a saving grace for today. We can look at it from our City View camera. Those are high clouds that are moving in, and that cloud cover may in turn keep temperatures down a few degrees for this afternoon. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be toasty. 83 right now at KCI, the heat index that feels like temperature up to about 88. And you may notice our air quality today, not the best. It is sitting in that fair category. Across the metro, plenty of 80s to be found. It is 83 in Liberty, 85 in Independence, Lee Summit right now at 83. Back on the Kansas side, upper 80s in Olathe. We are checking in at 88 degrees in Gardner. And as we widen out the view across northern Missouri, 82 in Trenton, 85 in Cameron. Atchison is also in the mid 80s. So here's that cloud cover. It's streaming in from the north, a weak disturbance that we're watching near Omaha. We'll see that cloud cover continuing to filter in. We'll call it a mostly cloudy day throughout the day today. Temperatures should still reach the 90s, but it will be getting hotter tomorrow and for the rest of the week. We'll look at it ahead in your full first alert forecast.
Okay, appreciate the heads up. Thank you, Chad. The Missouri Department of Transportation is monitoring the roadways when it comes to this extreme heat. They say the heat can cause the materials in the road to expand and then cause pop-ups like that big one we saw, which happened last year on I-35 near Pleasant Valley Road. Engineers say they're keeping an eye out for these, but they're going to need the public's help too.
We try to go and find those spots, whenever we can. Typically, each maintenance building can have anywhere from 300 to 600 miles of roadway that they take care of. So it isn't like we only have 20 miles and we drive that 20 miles every single day. So there are some places that we're not always seeing.
If you see one of those blow-ups when you're out driving in this heat, call MoDOT right away at 1-888-ASK-MoDOT. Firefighters this week are working hard to keep you safe amid this heat wave. Good Morning America was actually in Kansas City today. They spoke with the fire department's battalion chief about what has them worried this week.
Our biggest concern is heat-related emergencies with the fire department. We'll get an increased call volume of folks suffering from heat exhaustion, heat stroke. And we have a greater concern when the temperatures are like this for our fire crews when we go out and fight fires. It's hot anyways, but then when you add in 100-degree plus temperatures, it can be very taxing on our crews.
This week, it is so important to protect yourself and your loved ones from this dangerous heat. KMBC 9's Martin Augustine joins us with a few of those tips, but also some warning signs if the heat is getting the best of you.
Drinking plenty of water, staying hydrated, it's one of the single best things you can do to protect yourself from the heat. And by staying hydrated, it means you've got to start drinking water almost when you roll out of bed and continue to drink water through the day, because if you're outside in the heat and you're feeling thirsty, you are falling behind and it's very hard to catch up. Another thing to do to protect yourself is, as best you can, avoid outdoor work during the midday and afternoon hours when it's really getting hot. But if you have to be outdoors, and I know a lot of you do, be sure you're wearing a hat and lightweight, light-colored clothing to protect yourself from the sun. Take plenty of breaks and find shady spots to get yourself out of that heat. But if you start to feel lightheaded, you start generally feeling unwell, then you need to take a longer break from the heat. And if you have stopped sweating, then you are in trouble.
If you stop sweating, that's a very concerning symptom or sign that you want to make sure that you seek medical care if you get to the point to where you stop sweating, because that means it's going to the next level.
Another tip from doctors to cool off and cool off fast is to hold ice packs under your arms against your body. That's a good way to bring that core body temperature down. But you can also visit city community centers, such as the Southeast Community Center here in Kansas City. These community centers open during regular business hours, can serve as cooling centers, as can the public library branches. Martin Augustine, KMBC 9 News.
So as Martin mentioned, there are dozens of cooling centers that are open across the metro if you need to get out of the heat. You can check out a complete list right now at KMBC.com. Just search cooling center. You can also call the United Way hotline at 211 for more information about local cooling centers that are near you. As the Royals move closer to making a decision on a new stadium and a new location, the team's owner is reaching out to fans. KMBC9's Dennis Evans joins us live at Kauffman Stadium with more on that two-page letter that John Sherman sent out this morning. Dennis?
Yeah, you know, Jamie, it is a very interesting time for the Royals. On one side, they are in the midst of a season that is the worst in franchise history. On the other side, this team is asking for a new stadium and asking also for public health. Now, in the letter to fans, Sherman said, "We hear you." He says the team is committed to restoring the Royals to their rightful place in Major League Baseball. In the next 30 days, he adds, we plan to share an overview of the baseball districts, including the broad benefits of the two sites. Now, there's a huge financial piece to this. He says the construction project alone is expected to generate over 20,000 jobs, $1.4 billion in labor income, and $2.5 billion in total economic output. Now, the inaugural season, they say the new ballpark is expected to generate $185 million more in regional economic output than the Cade does today. Now, the franchise is putting up $1 billion of their own money. But of course, to get this done, they're also going to need to get some support from the public. They say they plan to have it narrowed down and announce the new site sometime in September. Now, all of these numbers are things that we're going to try to put to the test. We plan on talking to a sports economist who knows the effects that stadiums can have inside of a city, and we're going to hear from him and what he has to say later on this afternoon in terms of the impact that this Royal Stadium could have on Kansas City. At the K, Dennis Evans, KMBC9 News.
We are following some breaking news at noon. UPS and Teamsters Union have reached a deal just days before the deadline, possibly avoiding a strike. Contract negotiations between the two restarted today after breaking down earlier this month. The tentative deal will raise wages for all workers, create more full-time jobs, and establish workplace protections. The Teamsters General President calls this the best contract in UPS history. Right now, Kansas City, Missouri police are asking for your help to find these two missing kids. Take a close look here on your screen. 12-year-old Jabrian Byers and Dejia Johnson were last seen around 1 o'clock this morning near East 51st and Park. Jabrian is 5'9", weighs 160 pounds. He was wearing a black t-shirt, blue jeans, black socks, and tan Yeezy slides, while Dejia is 5'5" and 100 pounds. She was wearing a long black wig, a gray shirt with red stripes on the sleeves, and black bike shorts, as well as slides and a pink backpack with black straps. If you see either of these kids or know where they might be, please call police. The 19-year-old accused of making a swatting call that led to the evacuation of the Ford Claycomo plant was back in court today. Zachariah Peterson was set for a bond hearing today, but that meeting was actually postponed until he can get a public defender assigned to him. Prosecutors say Peterson made the call so a friend could get out of work at the plant. He's been charged with making a terroristic threat, which could land him into prison for up to 7 years. Peterson has pleaded not guilty and is due back in court August 1st. KMBC9 is tracking your tax dollars. Jackson County taxpayers have just 6 days left to appeal their tax property assessments. All appeals will be due on Monday, July 31st. The county extended that deadline earlier this month. And we've been looking into these property tax assessment issues for weeks. The latest concern is the impact it's having on home sales. One woman says she lost a possible sale of her house because of the recent valuation. Jackson County states that her home is worth $186,000 more than her sales price, but the homeowner says she never even received a notice. An attorney in Independence has filed a class action lawsuit against Jackson County. He says tens of thousands of property owners didn't receive their notices by June 15th as required by law. And without that notice, the county by law cannot raise the assessment.
I think that the uncertainty created by this entire assessment process is unfortunate. The citizens of Jackson County need to know what their property tax is going to be.
What are they valuing that on? What is that based on? I haven't been able to get an answer to that.
When the homeowner found out about the valuation, she filed an appeal online and attached her sales contract. At this point, that appeal is unresolved. Jackson County legislator Manny Abarca is hosting 2 more town halls just to answer people's questions about the appeals process. There will be one town hall Thursday evening from 6 to 8 in the middle school gym at the Guadalupe Centers on Bellevue Avenue. The next is designed to help Spanish speakers. That's going to be Saturday morning from 9 to 11 at the Guadalupe Centers High School. That's on the Paseo. Kansas City now has 50 brand new Americans in 2 ceremonies this morning at the Truman Home in Independence. 50 teenagers and children got to take the oath of U.S. citizenship. These young people were born in 20 different countries across Asia, Africa, and Europe. And for one parent we spoke with, it's a very proud day.
Almost 3 to 4 years we are waiting for this day, and God bless today.
A few different routes to citizenship were taken for these young people. Either the parents have completed the citizenship process, or they were adopted by parents who were U.S. citizens, or they were born overseas and at least one of their parents was a citizen. An added bonus, since the Truman Home is a national park, they were also sworn in as Park Service Junior Rangers. Big congrats to them. The Kansas City Chiefs are hard at work on the field at Missouri Western as training camp continues. Next at noon, we'll share a warning for fans headed up to St. Joe. Plus, we're working to keep you safe from a sweet treat you may have in your cabinet. Trader Joe's is recalling these cookies. The safety concern leading stores to pull them from their shelves. They promise good results, but new hair dryers could have other consequences. The easy fix to protect your hearing next.
Your station leading the way, keeping you safe by exposing scams, fraud, and recalls. KMBC 9 News.
Right now, LeBron James' son is in the hospital after suffering a heart attack during a basketball practice. 18-year-old Bronny James was at USC, where he's set to attend to play basketball. In a statement, the James family says USC medical staff was able to treat Bronny and take him to the hospital. He's now in stable condition and no longer in the ICU. This afternoon, a baby is safe after a situation that could have turned deadly. That baby was trapped in a hot car after the parents accidentally locked their keys inside. So this happened at a grocery store parking lot in Texas. The dad broke the windshield while the mom climbed inside to get the baby to safety. Temperatures were close to 100 degrees at the time. Authorities say the baby is doing well and the parents will not face any charges. Both Missouri and Kansas have Good Samaritan laws on the books, so that means if you see a child or even a pet trapped inside of a hot car, you can break the window to save them without having to worry about any charges. A new study shows that people may be at higher risk of a deadly heart attack when exposed to extreme temperatures or even high levels of pollution. The study, published in the journal Circulation, looked at more than 200,000 heart attack deaths in China. Researchers found that when temperatures were extremely high or low, or there was a high level of air pollution like dust, people were more likely to die of a heart attack. Researchers saw the greatest risk when there was extreme heat combined with high pollution levels. KMBC9 is keeping you safe with a recall from Trader Joe's. The stores have removed their almond windmill and dark chocolate chunk cookies from shelves after they say their suppliers told them there could be rocks inside. If you have any of these cookies, check the sell-by date. It's the October 19th through the 21st or October 17th through the 21st, and throw those cookies away. You could also take them back to Trader Joe's for a refund. They're all over social media promising to work faster and better than the ones you had before, and you might even use one every day. New, powerful hair dryers could be hurting your health with each use. KMBC9's Donna Pittman is finding the answers to keep you safe.
The question, what price are we paying for quick and shiny styles when it comes to our long-term hearing? Denise Kaiser is a convert. She's found the best dryer and styler for her hair. It does the job and then some, but is it also hurting Kaiser's hearing? Using this National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health app, we got a good idea of just how loud it is. North of 90 decibels. And talking to University Health audiologist Charlie Hare.
Today we're just involved with so many things that are really too noisy.
We got an idea of how loud is too loud.
80 dB is the cutoff for an 8-hour day. So if you're working in an environment where you're exposed to 80 dB or better, that's where the OSHA says you must have hearing protection in place.
We looked at my hair dryer.
Let's get down to maybe 10 inches. When you get over 100, it gets down to minutes.
Meaning just minutes before hearing damage is done. And Hare says you likely won't notice anytime soon.
When the damage occurs, it's a very slow thing, but once you start to notice it, very often irreversible.
But not all is lost. You can keep your hearing with a dime store fix.
Using just little foam earplugs, smart thing to do.
Kaiser says she'll try it.
Because nobody could see it? Yes, I would.
Because she's not ditching this dryer.
I'm 70. I'm going to look my best. I don't care how long it takes me to do it. I don't care about how loud it is. I got to do everything I can.
Few of us can argue that. We do want to let you know that a few dollars can go a long way in saving your hearing. You can get a jar of earplugs just like this one, anywhere from $8 to $10 at most stores, an investment likely to pay off in the long run. Donna Pittman, KMBC 9 News.
So we reached out to the makers of two popular brands of hair dryers, Dyson and Shark. Neither one has commented. Well, time right now is 12:18, and last season's roster for the Chiefs was full of new faces. There were 11 rookies, 10 being Chiefs draft picks. Now these guys all have a year of training camp under their belts. They say it's a bit easier since you know the ins and outs of where to be and what to expect, but it's still a challenge. Their main goal is the same as last year's, and that's to get to the Super Bowl and win. Some players are leaning on last year's experience to help them achieve that.
I'm in there and I'm just a pro. I'm not in college anymore. I'm not new to the NFL. So I know how things are going to turn out. I have game experience. So I feel like that experience just makes me more comfortable.
I think guys are a lot more confident out there in the plays, and I feel like looking at it now, especially us rookies and even some of the vets, just having a year being developed in this system, allows us to play so much faster.
Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney will miss some time the next few weeks. He wasn't at practice yesterday in St. Joe because Toney had a knee surgery earlier this year, and he actually aggravated the injury while fielding a punt on Sunday. Players say they're going to miss having him at camp.
Fingers crossed that we get him back as soon as possible, and it's just, letting him heal up, and we'll take care of the load until he gets back. But KT ain't going anywhere, man. We missed that guy already.
The Chiefs believe Toney will be ready for the start of the regular season. So the Chiefs are still waiting on defensive tackle Chris Jones to join the team in St. Joe. He's in the middle of contract negotiations and in the final year of his deal. We'll, of course, bring you any updates about his situation as we learn them right here on KMBC 9 News. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Chiefs training camp schedule for the week. The Chiefs have open practice tomorrow. There's no practice Thursday, but players will be back on the practice field Friday through Sunday. And if you want to watch them practice, remember, you do need to reserve a spot through the Chiefs website. And a popular place for Chiefs fans this week is going to be St. Joseph, Missouri, of course, for Chiefs training camp. And hey, it is going to be really hot up there. So the team has some tips for fans that you should know before you go. First and foremost, stay hydrated. Use sunscreen. Use shade to avoid heat-related issues. If you can, try to visit the misting tent that's set up at camp and wear light, loose-fitting clothing. Remember, you won't be allowed to bring a cooler inside or any glass, metal, plastic thermoses, cups, bottles, or flasks, so definitely want to prepare. And Chad, we talk about it every year. Chiefs training camp, it is known for being insanely hot. It is the end of July, of course, but what we're going to be dealing with this week here in the metro is going to be brutal.
A little bit of extra heat this week. Temperatures really soaring into the upper 90s, close to 100 degrees. We may even touch the century mark before the week is done. I want to show you where the heat advisory is currently in effect. The National Weather Service in Topeka has the heat advisory out until 9 p.m. Friday, so this has been extended for a day. It includes Hiawatha, Lawrence, and Ottawa, as well as points south. Now, the Weather Service in Kansas City monitoring our area here locally in the metro, and if conditions warrant, a heat advisory will be necessary. Outside right now, our one saving grace throughout the day today, this cloud cover, the high cloud cover that you see may keep temperatures down just a bit. Overcast right now at KCI, 83 degrees. The heat index, the feels like temperature at 88. Our air quality today is in the fair category, so not the best, something to be mindful of. Across the region, looking at plenty of mid to upper 80s, a few 90s starting to show up. Ottawa's at 90, Paola sitting at 90 degrees as well. Garnett also at 90, and back here on the Missouri side, 90 in Clinton, 88 in Warrensburg as we work our way north, mid 80s right now in Cameron at 85 degrees. Maryville is checking in at 83. So here's that cloud cover. It continues to stream in from the north. There is a weak disturbance near Omaha. You could even see a couple of showers here. Throughout today, this afternoon and this evening, we're going to see that influx of high cloud cover. In turn, temperatures not going to be in the upper 90s, near 100 degrees, but likely in the mid 90s. We're at 95 degrees at 4 p.m., 95 at 6. Here's the heat index climbing into the upper 90s, close to 100. So still, it may be dangerously hot in some spots. So you want to make sure you're taking some of those heat precautions. FutureScan does a fantastic job of showing this cloud cover moving in throughout the day today. There's a 10 to 20% chance of a few sprinkles overnight tonight. That chance winds down, and then early tomorrow morning in time for your commute, a couple of more showers possible, mainly in northern and central Missouri. But you can see the cloud cover. If that cloud cover hangs around for long enough, it may suppress temperatures a little bit again, something that we'll be watching. For now, though, still going for a high temperature of about 100 on Wednesday, also Thursday and Friday. On Saturday, a hair cooler with temperatures reaching the upper 90s, but that doesn't really tell the full story. Look at our overnight lows, upper 70s to low 80s, so dangerous heat throughout this week. Slight chance of a shower tomorrow morning, another chance of a shower or storm on Saturday, maybe a little cooler early next week.
All right, thanks, Chad. With the final numbers in, Barbie's box office domination is even bigger than we originally thought. Next at noon, we'll take a look at the big weekend for movie theaters. Plus, helping teachers get ready for the school year. Meet the local group drawing attention to their needs and learn how you can help right now. Teachers and students will soon be back in the classroom, and a local group wants to make sure teachers are prepared. Carrie Stewart started the Facebook group Operation Teachers Toolbox Kansas City just 4 years ago. And it's simple for teachers to get help. They sign up, add a wish list, then donors can pitch in.
We are given a certain amount of funds, but it's not enough to cover what is needed for the students to help us have a more successful year. I had mine posted and I had over 30 things on there, and within 6 hours it was all gone.
If you want to help teachers get ready for the new school year, you can visit Operation Teachers Toolbox KC on Facebook.
Barbie in the real world. That's impossible.
Barbenheimer is even bigger than we thought. Sunday's estimates put Barbie's opening weekend at a year's best, $155 million. But the final numbers put the film's debut at $162 million. Oppenheimer went from an estimate of $80.5 million to a final tally of $82.4 million. And while Barbie and Oppenheimer were big successes in their debut weekend, for Screenland Armour Theater, it was a big business boom. On Facebook, the theater said they broke just about every record in their book. They thanked employees and moviegoers alike for their business and a smooth weekend of box office fun. At 12:28, we are taking a live look over Kansas City. It is a first alert weather impact day because the heat is on its way. Coming up, Chad and I will be back with more news and weather. Just 3 minutes to go.
Your station leading the way with First Alert Weather, Kansas City's largest, most experienced team, KMBC 9 News.
Well, thanks for sticking with us at noon. I'm Jamie Weiss. Chad Crilly's here with your First Alert forecast, and I am just bracing myself for this heat. 100 degrees a couple days this week.
So there is that opportunity we could touch the century mark for a couple of days. And speaking of that, Jamie, I want to take you back in time to the last time we hit 100 here in Kansas City. That was back on August 6, 2022. So about a year ago, we have that chance over the coming days. This will probably be the hottest stretch of weather we've seen thus far this summer. Temperatures here just past 12:30 are largely in the mid to upper 80s. Some 90s are starting to show up though in eastern Kansas. It is 90 degrees in Paola, 91 in Lacine, 89 in Garnett, and 90 in Ottawa. Right now in Liberty, it's 86 degrees. The further north you go, generally a little cooler. We're at 85 in Cameron as you step outside. Clouds and radar do show some high clouds that continue to filter in from the north. All this cloud cover might actually help us out today if you don't like the heat. It could keep temperatures down just a few degrees, blocking out some of that sunshine. So for a high, we'll call it 95 in Kansas City. I think in eastern Kansas, it will be a little warmer. We'll call it 100 degrees in Lawrence, 101 in Ottawa, mid-90s here in central Missouri into western Missouri, 95 Odessa, and 97 for a high today in Lee Summit. So as you're out and about, make sure you're taking some of those hot weather precautions. Dew points also running largely into the 70s for us, so that makes it feel pretty sticky. We're going to talk more about that heat index and also a look at that 9-day forecast, see if there is any cooler air in sight. That is coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Chad. Firefighters this week are especially prone to heat-related illnesses. GMA was in town today and they sat down with the fire department's battalion chief just to talk about what they're doing to keep their firefighters safe.
We also established rehab sectors for the fire crews on scene so that they can go be checked out by EMS, get their blood pressure taken, get all their gear off and cool off before they go back in to fight any fire.
Mike also says they're making sure everyone is staying hydrated and they're rotating crews more often than they normally would. Cooling centers will be open around the area just to keep people safe this week. We've got a full list of locations on both sides of our state line that are open. Just search KMBC 9's news app for cooling centers. A tornado ripped through part of Scott County, Missouri near Cape Girardeau on Monday. Just look at these images. The twister ripped apart buildings and knocked down power lines. Energy crews quickly worked to bring neighborhoods back online as people cleaned up the damage left behind by that storm. A little closer to home, storms hit Lake Latawana on Monday, and at one point Monday morning, nearly the entire lake community was in the dark. People spent the day cleaning up the downed branches as well as other debris.
This tree had been damaged before, but it just blew off, blew this about a third of it off, so I don't know if we can save it or not.
Yeah, everybody helps everybody. Everybody watches out for everybody. Absolutely. Great place to live. Wouldn't live anywhere else.
Thankfully, there are no reports of anyone being badly hurt. The city of Overland Park has some new numbers highlighting the power of the storms that hit about a week and a half ago. So over the weekend, more than 1,200 cars dropped off storm debris at the drop-off sites in OP. And so far, the city has collected 14,000 cubic yards of storm debris. Just for some perspective, a dump truck can hold about 10 to 14 cubic yards. We know that drop-off sites will reopen this weekend. In Kansas City, Kansas, the Recycling and Yard Waste Center will be extending their hours this week. It'll be open from 10 to 3 today through Sunday. And you do need to bring your proof of residency, like a BPU bill or your driver's license, in order to be able to dump that debris. Kansas City, Missouri police are investigating the city's latest shooting. This happened at East 44th and Agnes just after 7:30 Monday night. One person is in a hospital fighting for their life after that shooting. No word yet from police about any suspect information. This afternoon, Missouri State troopers are out with new photos that could lead to answers in a deadly hit-and-run case. The driver of a car hit and killed 36-year-old Kyle Clary on June 29th as Kyle was walking near Gregory and Blue Ridge Boulevard in Raytown. Troopers have released the photos of the car. They say it could be a Honda Accord or a Nissan Maxima. Detectives have looked into several leads, but they haven't made any arrests. Please call the Missouri State Highway Patrol if you have any information that could help. We are tracking your tax dollars, and the time is ticking for the July 31st deadline. This is for the appeals of your Jackson County property assessments. We're now just 6 days out from that midnight deadline on the 31st. The county tells us more than 40,000 appeals have already been filed and more than 8,000 have been resolved. If you file on the last day, you will still get a hearing. Many people with questions about their property taxes are looking for help with their appeal, especially seniors and folks who aren't tech savvy. So Frank Serrano of the Waldo Tower Neighborhood Association decided to help others with their appeals process after his own struggles to get his appeal submitted. While it's a last-minute effort to help others, he says he knows it's needed.
They're doing very little here at the finish line, and that's why I'm out here doing what I can.
A huge load off of my shoulders. Like I said, I dream about it.
Well, you don't have to live in Waldo if you still need help. There are sessions all week long, and they are looking for volunteers as well. We are going to post that link on social media so you can check it out if you would like to help. We've covered this issue since the assessments first started arriving in mailboxes. For expert advice on what to prepare for an appeal and to see our investigations on the process, you can head over to KMBC.com. Police think they've pieced together what happened after a woman disappeared, then showed up again days later, claiming she was kidnapped. Next, we'll show the confession from Carly Russell and the next steps in this investigation. A Delta flight from Milan, Italy had to be diverted on its way to New York after the plane got slammed with hail. A passenger took these photos and video of the damage to the plane's nose. He says they were in the air for only about 15 minutes before they hit rough air, and he heard the hail hitting the plane and saw some lightning as well. The plane ended up landing in Rome. Delta apologized to its customers and said its maintenance workers are currently checking out that plane. Police have been trying to figure out what happened to a 25-year-old woman who disappeared, then mysteriously reappeared just days later, claiming she had been kidnapped. Well, now she admits she made the whole thing up. Carly Russell called 911 on July 13th, saying she was seeing a toddler walking alone on the side of an Alabama highway. When police got there, she was gone. She showed up at her family's home days later, saying she had escaped her kidnappers, but police couldn't verify her story. Yesterday, Russell released a statement through her lawyer admitting she lied.
We wanted the focus to be bringing her home. She got home. We're very excited about that. It is what it is. The facts, I think, last Wednesday pretty much showed that we knew that it was a hoax.
Well, police are now trying to decide whether to file charges against Russell. Buying a car is stressful and expensive, and it can be really frustrating when a dealer tries to tack on extra fees. But there is some good news. KMBC 9's Donna Pittman and Consumer Reports are taking a look at the fees you may be able to negotiate or avoid altogether.
Harvey Kent is a seasoned car buyer, but one thing he'll never get used to, the frustration of dealing with dealership fees.
You go through a lot of work to find the car you want, and you get down this road where you end up with no choices other than to walk away from that car and starting over.
But did you know some dealers charge more in fees than others? It can happen with the document fee that's often the charge to process the title and registration in your name.
So one dealer can charge you $399. Another dealer with the same vehicle can charge you $699. You could always negotiate and say, another dealer is charging me less.
Then there's the destination fee, the cost to deliver your car to the dealership and get it ready for you to drive home, which should include a tank of gas or full electric charge. But Consumer Reports says, watch out. Some dealers try to charge you twice for it.
You may see something called vehicle prep or delivery prep tacked on to your car charge. Never pay that. The dealer here is just trying to double charge you, get extra money, do the exact work that they're supposed to do in the destination charge.
These days, don't be surprised to see a new fee called a market adjustment. The reason? The dealer is taking advantage of low inventory or the popularity of a specific model. CR says you can ask the dealer to remove it, but many won't because of the law of supply and demand. So think long and hard before paying it.
You're never going to get that money back when you go to trade the car in or sell it.
And when it comes to VIN etching, you don't need it because the number is already in several places now on newer cars. And what about extended warranties? Most new cars already come with decent factory back protection, so you probably don't need it. Just be sure to read the terms and conditions. Other add-ons Consumer Reports says are unnecessary: nitrogen-filled tires, rust-proofing, paint sealing, and fabric protection. Donna Pittman, KMBC 9 News.
A problematic patch of the highway is getting the attention of MoDOT after the flash flooding frustrations of Monday. Coming up next at noon, what's being done now to alleviate the area.
And a well-advertised heat wave is on the way. We're going to talk about that in detail. Also let you know about our next chance for showers and thunderstorms that might cool us down just a bit. That's ahead.
Your station leading the way with First Alert Weather, Kansas City's largest, most experienced team, KMBC 9 News.
Yesterday's storm caused problems on I-35 near West Penway. You can see from this video the flash flooding on the highway causing a vehicle to stall and others trying to slowly move through the area. And it's a problem spot anytime it floods, but MoDOT promises there will be improvements in the area. Crews cleaned debris from the drain yesterday morning just to try to alleviate the flooding. There's a street under the bridge, so MoDOT can't have water falling on the traffic below. Pipes are in place to carry that water from the highway, but they didn't keep up with yesterday's morning rain.
Obviously, the piping system is not the most ideal, but is there some other kind of technology that's out there that we're not aware of that we can potentially use to make the situation better?
Well, there's no timeline yet as to when work will be completed, but of course, we'll keep you updated. Keeping you safe, the North Kansas City, Missouri Police Department is seeing a lot of Kia and Hyundai thefts or attempted thefts in the city. Over the weekend, they had 2 Kias and 2 Hyundais stolen, as well as 5 attempted thefts. The department is now giving out free steering wheel locks for drivers of certain Kias and Hyundais that are prone to being stolen. Now keep in mind, you need to be a resident of North Kansas City or work in the city in order to be eligible to get one of those wheel locks. The Olathe Police Department will also be handing out free steering wheel locks tomorrow. People who drive certain Kia and Hyundai models will be able to pick up a wheel lock at 5:30 at the department substation off College Road. That's just west of K7. Again, you need to have proof that you are an Olathe resident and that you own the car model that is impacted. The state of Kansas has a new plan to keep people safe from the growing fentanyl crisis. We previewed that announcement yesterday on First News. State leaders introduced a new joint fentanyl impact team, and it's made up of members from the KBI Department of Homeland Security and the Highway Patrol. The agencies will share information to stop fentanyl trafficking, but a big part of the effort will be the use of 4 canine officers trained in sniffing out fentanyl.
What we see coming with regard to fentanyl looks to me like a tidal wave. This was the most we were able to do right now. We may be coming back and wanting more later. I can't say that we won't. I wish I could tell you that what we're doing is going to be enough. I fear that it's not.
The group says it's seen a 900% increase in fentanyl deaths. And right now they believe they're only confiscating 10% of fentanyl that's being sold illegally. A key to keeping healthy, we all know, is going to be washing your hands, but could the way you dry them actually be harmful to our health? They're in most stores and they can't be missed. Hand dryers with such force they can be confused with jet engines. Well, we took a decibel reader to find out just how loud most are, and what we discovered, we took to an audiologist.
80 dB is the cutoff for an 8-hour day. So if you're working in an environment where you're exposed to 80 dB or better, that's where the OSHA says you must have hearing protection in place.
So do you need protection when you do this? We're exploring the everyday items that may be harming your hearing tonight on KMBC 9 News at 6. We are getting closer to the start of the new school year, and that means transitioning from summer to back to school mode. It's a lot easier said than done, right? But there are some tips that you can use to help make the transition a little bit easier. Experts say start that transition now. So that means asking open-ended questions about how your kids are feeling about going back to school, normalize their feelings, and get back on track with habits and routines to ease stress and to limit any unnecessary stressors.
Maybe you're redoing a room or starting to potty train a younger child. Maybe it can wait a week or two as we enter into the school year. It's really helpful to think about pressing pause on those things.
She also suggests getting back into the habit of things like consistent meal times that can help get students ready for the school year. Well, after they were swept in New York, the Royals got things started on the right foot in their new city, and they brought the power to Cleveland.
Salvi, left center field and deep and gone into the bleachers.
Salvi with his 17th homer of the year. The Royals were able to get ahead early, and they kept their lead as they go on to win 5-3. So here's a bizarre moment during the game. This was early on in the bottom of the first. Bobby Witt Jr. throws the ball to first, and it goes through Matt Duffy's glove. So look at this replay here. You're going to see the ball rip through the webbing. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Thankfully, it didn't cost the Royals the game. The Royals and the Guardians will be back at it today in Cleveland. Zach Greinke is going to be on the mound for the Royals. First pitch is set for 6:10, and Chad, I think we can all agree, maybe it's a good thing the Royals aren't playing at home this week, just given how hot it would likely be in the outfield.
Oh yeah, absolutely. With that sun beating down, it's going to feel toasty just about everywhere as we head into the next several days. Temperatures today may not be as hot as the coming days thanks to some additional cloud cover. Live look from our City View camera shows you that high cloud cover hanging out over downtown. We are sitting at 83 degrees, so really not too bad. The heat index is at 88 and the humidity at 70%. It is a little humid. Our air quality today is just fair, so not amazing either. Temperatures across the board are ranging from, let's say, the mid-80s here in western Missouri, 83 in Lee Summit, 86 in Odessa, to the low 90s across eastern Kansas. We're checking in right now at 91 in Ottawa, sitting at 90 in Garnett. So I want to take you over to this, our road temperatures. You'll remember meteorologist Neville Miller yesterday evening was talking about how we usually show this in the winter. Now we're showing it in the summer for a different reason. The road temperatures are much hotter than the air temperature. 116 in Liberty, 119 in Cameron, 120 in St. Joseph, 123 in Ottawa. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you have pets at home, keep that in mind as you're walking them outside. That's what it feels like on their paws. Also, your skin can be burned pretty easy when it feels that hot. So yes, today we're not going to be extraordinarily warm like the coming days, but still it will be pretty toasty. The reason why we're not as hot is because of some of this high cloud cover that is drifting in from the north. So we'll say mostly cloudy skies throughout the day today, a high temperature of about 95 degrees. It'll also be a little breezy, winds out of the south to southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour, and there's a 20% chance as some of these clouds come through that a stray shower is possible. You'll see it here on Future Scan at 4:30. Not really looking at much in the way of thunderstorm activity, I don't think. And then another chance of showers early tomorrow morning. So tomorrow, our forecast high temperature is 100 degrees. However, if this cloud cover and a few isolated showers stick around for longer than expected, we might have to lower that number just a bit. Still think it'll be a pretty warm afternoon. And then by Wednesday evening, an isolated shower or two possible, definitely not a washout. These are a look at our low temperatures for the next several mornings. So upper 70s to low 80s. If this was during the day, yeah, it'd be warm. But these are the temperatures we're expecting during the overnight hours. So you can see why this heat wave is going to be significant. 100 Wednesday through Friday, a little cooler, chance of storms on Saturday.
Okay, thank you, Chad. Tonight on Channel 9, you can watch Celebrity Wheel of Fortune at 7, Jeopardy Masters at 8. Stick around for KMBC 9 News at 10. On KCWE, it's Down to Earth with Zac Efron at 7, Fantastic Friends at 8, and KMBC 9 News at 9.
All right, we are back now with a final look at your steamy 9-day forecast. 95 today, so it's still going to be hot, just not as hot as tomorrow. Slight chance of a shower, maybe a passing thunderstorm, but then the heat is on. Really, Thursday, Friday, probably our hottest days. A chance of a shower or storm on Saturday, a little cooler.
Okay, appreciate the heads up. Thank you, Chad. And thank you so much for joining us at noon. Be sure to join us today for KMBC 9 News at 4. Have a great day. Stay cool.